me here, Farmer!
I'm alive.
Right.
Pull the line! Pull the line!
Keep away!
Just pull the line!
Come on, Gabriella! Too much! Come on, Scrapper! What a fight, huh? I knew you had it in you, eh? Girls, let's go to Burlington.
This is Rotten Glory. I'm your host, Ty Gorton. Hail to my fellow ComicsGate warriors. ComicsGate started as a response to the permeation of SJW politics into mainstream comics. Decades old, beloved characters have been dragged through the muck of this cheap political fad. And ComicsGate is also a response to cancel culture. Now, SJW politics and cancel culture are two sides of the same coin. They feed into each other, and they feed off of each other. ComicsGate is a response to that, and it is a powerful one. So I want to drop right into my interpretation of core ComicsGate values, and this isn't the same for everyone. And there's a kind of power in that, is that it's open to interpretation. But over the past year, this is what I've come to view ComicsGate as. Number one, creative freedom. If you're anyone who creates for a living, who has that creative passion, you know, I work as a freelance graphic designer, and let me tell you, I almost never have creative freedom when it comes to the work I produce. I am beholden to whoever I'm working for, and oftentimes you find yourself having to produce content that might be diabolically opposed to what you believe in. You might disagree with it, but it is your job to make it look good, to produce a professional end product. So creative freedom to me is, you can't put a price tag on that. It's an invaluable thing. And ComicsGate seeks to give passionate people, talented people, the freedom to create what they want, how they want. And this to me is, I put it number one because this is the number one value that you're, as a creator, that you will receive by being ComicsGate. It's total freedom. It's total freedom. Number two, marketing, YouTube, and social media freedom. Now, this is an interesting component. If you're working for a Marvel or a DC Comics, the last thing these companies want is for you to have the ability to build a fan base, to engage an audience in an authentic way. Just think it, these are incredibly talented people. You have, you know, artists, writers, colorists, people that can produce incredible work from nothing. Content that people want, that people will pay money for. This is, you know, this isn't just, it's not like, you know, making a burger at a fast food restaurant. It's not something anyone can do. These are rare talents. And the last thing you want, if you're one of these companies, is for your creative talent to feel like they could break away and do their own thing. You want them to feel completely beholden to the company that they're working for. You want them to believe that without that banner of Marvel or DC, if they're not working on one of these staple characters, a Batman or a Spider-Man, that they're not going to succeed, that they can't make it. And a key component of that is creating a situation where they are unable to engage their fan base. So if you're trying to run a YouTube channel, as an example, and you have to live in constant fear of a misstep, or doing or saying something that could trigger someone, or get you attacked, get you canceled, the easier thing is to just not do it at all, because you can't be yourself. You're not going to be able to be authentic. You're going to be in constant fear. Nobody wants to watch something created by someone who is under that kind of oppression, who cannot be authentic, who cannot be themselves. So it's this very effective restriction, you know, and people wonder why don't these creators that work for Marvel and DC use these tools, YouTube and social media, more to promote and market their books. But they can't, because they're not allowed to produce content that would actually engage in a real audience, because an audience can smell when you're not being authentic. And just like comedy has been killed by SJW culture, by PC culture, you can't be funny under these conditions. You can't engage your audience properly. So it's very limiting. ComicsGate gives back the ability for individual creators to be themselves, to be authentic, to be honest, to speak to their fans directly, you know, with all this nonsense removed. And people want that. People engage that and respond to it. Now, unfortunately, you know, ComicsGate has experienced people who have come in and then created a problem. And I'm not interested in naming names in this video, but you know, I think it's pretty easy, anyone that's been paying attention, to figure out who I'm talking about, who these people are. But you've got a cross-section of people who had total freedom at their fingertips, and they threw it away, and they decided to embrace a different brand of the same kind of tyranny, you know, the same kind of restriction. And it doesn't make any sense to me, because you don't have to agree with everyone in ComicsGate. You don't have to hold this. Everyone doesn't have to hold the same values or belief system. what should be valued is the freedom itself. The freedom to be who they are, to be the creators they want to be. Why would you want, as another creative person, as an individual trying to make it independently, why would you want to take that away from somebody else? It is so counterproductive and so short-sighted. I can't believe that ComicsGate has to deal with that, but it's human nature, you know? It's just unfortunately a part of it. So this ability to market, to have a YouTube presence, to be on social media, to be an authentic human being and share your creative passion directly with the fans. This is such a huge asset of ComicsGate. And it's something that you will absolutely not be able to have if you're working for a corporate entity. Number 3, full ownership of intellectual properties. This is an obvious benefit to any creator. And the thing is that it's equally beneficial to the fans, to the readers, because a creator that owns, that is fully invested in what they're working on, every decision they make, all that passion that they have, they know that everything they do that grows this property, that lends to it, that makes it stronger, is going to lead to more profit. It's going to lead to merchandising opportunities. It means that they're going to remain fully dedicated to it, because it's not, if you're working for a Marvel or DC, you're feeding into something that isn't yours. You could have the best idea, and that company is going to take it and they're going to leverage it, and it's not yours. You're not building anything of your own for your own future. So giving a creator the opportunity to own their own IP is so huge. It's so valuable for keeping that passion fresh. It's a motivating factor for the creator to keep innovating, to keep pushing the boundaries, to keep finding new ways to tell stories that engage the readers. So powerful. Number 4, 0% SJW politics. This is kind of a no-brainer. But here's where some people might disagree with my perspective. And this is, again, it's just my interpretation. 0% SJW politics doesn't mean that your book isn't political. If you're writing characters and you're telling stories, there will be politics involved. You have to have a worldview to tell a story. You know, these are characters that are making decisions based on what they believe is right and wrong. Of course, there will be a form of politics involved. It's inevitable. That's not the problem. The problem with the SJW approach is that it completely disregards what a character is, who that character is at their core. They don't care. It doesn't care about that. So long as they can check those things off of a list. Oh, we got this, we got this, we got this in there. It doesn't matter if it makes sense for the story. It doesn't matter if it makes sense for the characters. They just want to hit all those checkpoints. And it destroys everything in the process. So for me, a ComicsGate creator puts the characters first, the story first. That's absolute. And it doesn't even, to me, from my perspective, it would be entirely possible for a ComicsGate creator to make a comic book that an SJW would embrace. And the reason that's possible is because it would be true if you created a character from the ground up that had those traits, and it was true to itself, and it worked as a story. You see what I'm getting at? It has to work for the story and the characters and what you're trying to achieve. So Zero SJW politics is about not injecting nonsense where it doesn't belong. It's about telling the best possible story and creating the best possible characters. Number 5, and this is a doozy. ComicsGate does not have a leader. It is imperative that this is the case. The problem with ComicsGate having a single individual leader should be obvious to anyone. The moment ComicsGate presents a leader and says this is the guy or this is the person, they become the absolute target. That's doing your enemy a favor. Because then all energy, all, everything can be focused in on that one individual. And if that individual falls, you risk losing the entire thing. It could bring the whole thing down with it. Why would you want that? Why would ComicsGate want to do that? Of course it doesn't want that. ComicsGate is an idea. It's a philosophy. And the core of it is about creative freedom. You don't need a leader for that. Just be authentic, express your creative passion the way that you want to do it. That's ComicsGate. Okay? It doesn't need a singular leader for that. And if you were to give it a singular leader, it would weaken the entire thing. It would put the whole thing in jeopardy. Because as a network of creators and fans, if tens of thousands of people, right, that agree on this loose philosophy, on this idea, and support each other and feed into each other, there's no single target. There's no one to go after. And by not having a leader, it means that the only thing that the SJW side can do is go after individual creators, independent creators who are just trying to make a living, who are just trying to put out good books. And that makes them look like monsters. If you're going after some person that's just trying to make a good comic book, who isn't the leader of anything, who's just part of this big network, it doesn't look good. It makes it almost impossible to attack on that level and not just come out looking like a villain. So to me, ComicsGate not having a leader is essential to the entire thing. And I hope that makes sense. In conclusion, when you support or back a ComicsGate project, when you give that money to a team or an individual, you're giving them freedom. You're giving them creative freedom. You're creating an opportunity for them to make a living doing what they love to do while not being beholden to some corporate entity that has a political agenda. What could be of more value than that? It feels so good every time I back a project. I wish I could back more. I do as much as I can. But every time I do it, I click that button, I do it knowing that I'm feeding into that freedom for somebody else. The kind of creative freedom that I want to have. That every person who has any creative passion seeks their entire lives to get there. And that's the power of this movement. So support creative freedom. You know, ComicsGate, it's not just about comics anymore. It's already, to me, grown. It's become larger than that, because other, you know, even film, I think, is getting to that point where you're going to have the next wave of creators in film that they're not going to want to create the content that Hollywood wants them to. They want that creative freedom. So there's probably going to be a film gate, right? The same thing is going to happen across the board in all creative mediums. It's going to be the fans supporting creators, crowdfunding, and placing that value on creative freedom, because we want something authentic. We want people to be able to be honest and authentic with what they're producing. And so ComicsGate, to me, is a model for everything, for all of it. And ComicsGate's success is going to lead to successes in other mediums, and we're going to break away from this reliance on corporations to create our entertainment. And that is huge. That is so huge. So again, cheers. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated.